It's Zibby and Rotus here with you this morning. Good morning, Rotus.
Morning, Zibby. Good morning to all our listeners, viewers out there. Hope everybody's doing well on this productive Tuesday.
It's a
No,
Wednesday.
is today Tuesday? No, today's Wednesday. Today's Wednesday. Sorry. Hump of the week Wednesday. Okay. See, that tells you what's going on in my life. I don't know what
I can imagine. Well, would love you to be a part of the conversation. Let us know what your thoughts are. Plus, if you've got a question, would be happy to hear it and hopefully provide the response for you. The WhatsApp number is 0809 444 981. And you can also tweet at smooth981. There is so much going on, Rotus. So much. But let's start off with the monetary policy decision meeting yesterday. What did you make of it, the decision that was made?
Yeah, I was surprised. I mean, yesterday I said that I thought they would hold the rates at 16.5%. They've hiked it by another 100 basis points, a 1% increase. So it's now 17.5%. And they pretty much said that, look, even though inflation, the rates has decelerated just a tad, I think is it 21.34% or so from 21.47. Inflation is still high and they still need to combat it. So I was surprised. I thought they would hold, but they increased the rate. So there you have it.
So what does this mean right now for borrowing costs?
Yeah, it makes borrowing more expensive. And, it's just, we still don't have, look, this borrowing thing, Zibby, the fact that you cannot get affordable loans in Nigeria is a problem. This is just the impact of hiking rates to focus on inflation. So the simple answer is that borrowing costs are going to continue to climb and just make it tough for businesses to get loans, individuals to get loans, to try to attend to whatever needs that they have. So borrowing costs are going up.
I want to ask this though. Are we winning this fight against inflation?
We are not. Even though the rates decelerated, inflation is still very high. Prices of, goods and services are still high. They're doing what they can, but you see, monetary policy is just one side of the equation. You still need the fiscal side. That's the other side of the equation. Fiscal policy from the executive, from government to try to work hand in hand with monetary policy to bring rates down. We have not seen that. There's still fuel scarcity out there. Cost of, if you try to take transportation using ride hailing, prices are up. If you have, I flew back in from Switzerland on Sunday. You should have seen the amount of money I was being charged to bring me, home. Everybody was saying lack of fuel. So all these things filter through. So what is the fiscal side doing to make sure we have enough fuel and blah, blah, blah? So no, the answer is no, we're not winning the fights with inflation. And it's expected to remain elevated this year.
All right, so let's talk about something that is top of most Nigerians' minds right now, especially mine, or at least including mine. It's 6 days left until the new Naira notes are widely, or should be legally, the old Naira notes rather, should be, I don't know, I'm trying to think of the right word for it. Well, we've got
no longer acceptable. Yeah,
right,
no longer acceptable.
Yeah. Yes, and the reps are asking for an extension by up to 6 months. What did the CBN governor say yesterday?
Says it's not going to happen. Says this, we're sticking with the 31st of January. I advise everybody that is listening to this right now, just take any notes you see anywhere, just take it to your bank and dump it in there. I deposited pretty much, I only have like 500 Naira in my wallet right now. That's the new green 500. I took all the money I had and I dumped it into my bank account because it's 6 days. 6 days is going to become 1 day and then 0 days. And you know how we like to procrastinate. Everybody listening, take your old notes. They are not moving that date of the 31st. So the CBN governor said it's not happening. January 31st is sacrosanct and they're not going back. He says they gave us enough time. I think it announces about 100 days total is what they gave us, which some would argue it's a little short, but notice was given. It's not that hard. Just take your notes, go and deposit it into your account like you would do on any other day if you have a lot of cash. So that date, I don't think it's good. I think there's somewhat the CBN governance of banks. I don't know if they'll adhere to the summons, but even if they adhere to it, I don't think they're going to change their minds.
Okay, so there's a story of a family that rejected the bride price. I want to know, what do you think about that really in Niger State? And
yeah.
We
and
have
Cold
some
Stone, right?
establishments, yes, rejecting or saying they're going to start rejecting what is still legal, by the way.
Right. So starting with the family, with the whole bride price thing, they were saying that they weren't going to accept a bride price in old notes. It had to be the new notes, right? Because they don't want the difficulty of having to swap the old notes at their bank or something to that effect. And then if you look at the restaurant chain, Cold Stone saying they won't accept Naira notes after the 27th. You have to think about businesses that do lots of volumes of cash. And what they want to do is say, hey, listen, they are saying by the 27th, we will no longer accept new notes. Now they're giving other options. There are tweets that they put out saying you can pay by using transfer, pay by using your debit card, and blah, 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 blah. They want to protect themselves. So they are giving a deadline before the 31st so that they have enough time to collate all the old notes that they have and then take them to the bank and swap them out. So from the bride price family in Niger State to businesses here, everybody's just making, it's a transition. This is the adjustment now to the new notes, to where nobody wants to be stuck with old notes. So some are taking the steps to go before the January 31st deadline and swap out those notes. So this is just the economy making that transition, making the move from the old notes to the new ones, basically.
Now, speaking about this, there have been reports of people who say they've been to banks and they've used cash machines and they still get the old notes. What does this mean? I actually haven't been to a cash machine in about 2 months.
See, you're digital. Yeah. You're a digital person, right? So,
yes. Yeah. So, but I need to do something, and I think I might need cash today. But I'm actually worried that if I go to use a cash machine, I might get stuck with more of the old Naira notes. I might not be able to use up before the deadline.
Right. So this is the thing. No one, if the thing is, old notes are still legal, right? So up until January the 31st, feel free to use your old notes. The only thing that you have to be
except
conscious
at certain
of,
places.
Right, certain places that might say they won't take it before that time. And to be honest, I guess, they really shouldn't be doing that. I mean, until the 31st is when it's effective. But let me just check the calendar. So the 31st is Tuesday. So so you have until next week, Tuesday is your last day to use an old Naira note. So feel free to do whatever you want. Go to the ATM, pull out, just make sure that on Tuesday, January the 30th, and I expect a lot of banking halls will be packed on Tuesday. So do it in advance. Go to the bank, deposit your old notes by Tuesday. So just don't panic. Use whatever notes you want to use them. Just make sure by Tuesday you check your couch, you check your purse, your bags, your old laundry, remove any old notes, and by Tuesday, January the 31st, go to the bank and deposit everything into your account. It's that simple. There's no need to panic.
All right. Yeah. We've got some messages coming through. This one is from Benga, and he says, I hope the CBN won't regret its obstinacy concerning the new Naira policy. The new notes are not available at all. And Matthew Afolabi says, within the 100 days given until last week, we were still getting the old notes from the ATMs. Gilbert says, on the declining inflation rate and hike in monetary policy rate from 16 to 17.5%, the question is, these numbers, do they represent or translate to actual reality in the Nigerian market? Reason is the cost of doing business is still astronomically high, and these figures over time might tend not to represent the actual reality in the Nigerian market space. Okay, Ogone Ochuko says, I find out that microfinance banks charge interest rates of 35%. Crazy.
Is this accurate? Is nuts. Nuts. How do you survive borrowing at 35%? And are any presidential candidates talking about reducing interest rate? I don't think I've heard a single one, I may be wrong, or any of the main presidential candidates talking about how they will effectively lower interest rates so that Nigerians can borrow easily. That is nuts.
Okay, Ade says CBN has directed all banks to only load their ATMs with new notes. So the only issue is that ATMs are quickly running out of cash. And Benga says it's not that simple. All right, well, thank you for your messages. The WhatsApp number is 0809 4440981. And of course, you can also tweet at Smooth981. It's Business Express. And Rotus, I want to ask this though. What do you make of the CBN cash swap program that's happening in the rural areas?
Yeah, they just announced that a couple of days ago. So the rural areas are where there's problems. We are all here in the urban centers. We're in the city. We're talking about ATMs and all that. We have that privilege. People who are in rural areas, they don't have that privilege. They live miles away from a bank. They live miles away from an ATM. Of course, the central bank has these agents. Also, a number of the commercial banks have agents who are basically people who just carry a bag of cash with them and POS machines. They go to these rural areas and they help these rural people carry out the transaction. So the cash swap program is very simple. The CBN is simply loading new notes, giving it to their agents, and the agents are going out into the rural areas and taking the old notes from people in the rural areas and giving them new notes. I wish they had announced this sooner, but sooner is better than never or later. So or better late than never, excuse me. So at least they're going to try, and I hope they have 6 days to do it. They have to just basically go around and swap those notes with people in the rural areas.
Do you think the timing was too short? Could it have been longer?
So it could have been longer, yes. But I think, again, that there was an effort to checkmate vote buying and electioneering. So I think that it was this, and you've seen all this talk of the DSS chasing the CBN governor, all these trumped up charges of terrorist financing and everything, him leaving the country. I think that was corruption fighting back, where people who wanted to use the old notes to buy votes and do all these things were surprised, and now they're putting pressure to change the date. So I think there was an element of that, but unfortunately, there's always a fallout where if you're making a move to checkmate vote buying, you have to think about the impact on everyday citizens and business people. So there could have been more time given, but I think there was an effort to surprise, to make sure we have a free and fair, corruption-less election or something.
All right, Yinka says, went to buy plantains on Sunday, gave the young lady the new 1,000 naira note and she rejected it. I asked why. She said, I know wants the new money. I was shocked, no reason or whatsoever. I think Rotus, one of them, spoke about giving credit to individuals at affordable rates in order to purchase things like cars and houses. I think that's the closest we've heard. But seriously, why does one need cash? We must do everything possible to drive down cash transactions, say to around 20%. I don't know when last I had 10,000 naira cash on me and heavens didn't fall. Okay.
Yinka is a big boy. He's also big digital.
Boy. EA says the CBN is not fair to the economy. CBN borrows for the government at a ridiculously low rate, but businesses are borrowing at market-determined rates. If they want the economy to grow, they should allow every part of the economy to play by the markets.
Quick correction, the government borrows from the central bank. So ways and means, that word or phrase you've been hearing for a while, which is at 22 trillion or so, is the government of the federal government of Nigeria using the CBN as an ATM to plug its deficits. But I get the point of what that message is trying to say.
All right, and we've got about 30 seconds. I just want to ask a question really quickly. What do you think of the Abuja-Kaduna rail line being stranded due to
you know what? Diesel? Unfortunately, MPC took over that. That was supposed to be what we're supposed to discuss. Let's do that tomorrow. We'll make that our main discussion because there's a lot to be said about diesel shortage and rail infrastructure. So we'll get into that tomorrow. That's our first topic. So everybody that has questions or comments about how on earth the Abuja-Kaduna rail can be stranded for lack of diesel is crazy, but we'll get into that. So thanks to everybody for their messages on Naira Notes, MPC. We'll talk about diesel and rail tomorrow, Zibby.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Rotus. Thank you for your messages.
Thank you. See you guys tomorrow.
That is it for Business Express. Do stay with us. There's a lot more to come on the Smooth Breakfast. To you by